Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Roanoke Valley Libertarian online interview with independent candidate running in Virginia for U.S. Senate, Brandi Hall. She's going to speak about 5 minutes, gives a little update. Then, if you have any questions, please come online, ask her questions. She'll answer them. But my friend, thank you for coming on, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Brandi Hall. I am running a people-powered grassroots campaign. That means showing up, listening, and being honest about what's working and what isn't. These conversations matter no matter where we live or how we come together. I'm running for the United States Senate because too many people are doing everything right and still falling behind. Costs keep rising, wages aren't keeping up, and too many communities, rural, suburban, urban, feel like they've been left out of the conversation. I don't believe anyone should have to wait for dignity or opportunity based on their zip code. I come from a working family. My grandfathers were veterans. My father was a mechanic and a farmer. My mother was in public transportation. I was raised to believe that when something is broken, you don't point fingers, you show up and you fix it. I've spent more than a decade as a mental health professional and advocate, and I'm also a small business owner. That, with those perspectives, is exactly why I chose to run as an independent. Independence isn't about standing in the middle. It's about standing with the people and being accountable to them, not party leadership or corporate donors. What makes my platform different is that it's built around solutions that last. Instead of temporary programs and empty promises, my legislation is built around self-sustaining trust funds. These trust funds are designed to pay for themselves, create jobs immediately, and deliver long-term stability without raising taxes on working families. Now let's talk about jobs, because jobs are what hold communities together. Taken together, my full legislative agenda creates over 1 million jobs in the first year and more than 4 million long-term jobs nationwide. Here in Virginia, that means up to 180 small town jobs: health, environmental cleanup, broadband, infrastructure, childcare, veteran services, and skilled trades. Jobs for teachers, first responders, and correctional officers. We're this is the plan about lifting everyone, but
Now
creating jobs isn't enough.
You froze up for a second, just to let you know. So I don't know if how much you had been.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Okay, are we good now? But creating jobs isn't enough if people can't afford to live. That's why my platform includes a living wage adjusted regionally to reflect the cost of living differences. If companies benefit from public dollars, public contracts, or tax incentives, they should be paying fair wages and contributing fairly. As a business owner, I know we can do this while still protecting small businesses, the backbone of every community. I also want to talk about Social Security because this affects nearly every family. No one should work their whole life and retire into poverty. My Social Security Fairness and Retirement Security Act raises Social Security benefits above poverty level and keeps them there. It corrects long-standing inequalities that affect women and men, including caregiving years and physically demanding jobs. And just as important, it ends federal taxation of Social Security benefits. If you've already paid into Social Security, your retire working life, you shouldn't be taxed again just for getting by. Social Security is an earned benefit, not a taxable income. All of this is paid for responsibly by closing loopholes that allow the largest corporations and wealthiest earners to avoid paying their fair share without raising taxes on working families. At the end of the day, this campaign is about dignity, fairness, and accountability. It's about making sure government works for the people who pay into it, no matter where they live, what they do for a living, or who they are. I'm not running to be a career politician. I'm running to show up, do the work, and fix what.
Okay. So that was the end of your speech. I didn't want to cut you off and break your train of thought like I did just a second.
No,
you're all good?
Oh, you're good. You're good.
All right. So let's start off with you running as an independent. Last year we had 24. We had Tim Kaine ran against Hung Kao. I believe Tim Kaine spent $19 million to get his seat that pays $200 and some $1,000. So he was buying more than he was not buying to get that seat. He was buying power. How do you expect? What are you looking to get so you can combat such a high number in donations?
Right. Well, since I'm running a grassroots campaign, I am selling like T-shirts, things like that to help with monetary. I also have people that are donating to my campaign. There's a lady in the region close to Tennessee in District 9 who has offered to pay for some signs, who has, is helping my campaign a lot in that area.
Okay.
I know all about District 9. That's where I actually reside. So I know how it's formulated. I know how to formulate it. I know how it's run. Yeah, we got the redistricting. We can go into that mess later. But yeah, the redistricting situation put me in 9. I was in 5 and now I'm in 9. Was a 9 chair. Was a chair at the state. I mean, I go through different things for the Libertarian Party. But my first question would be, so this is good that you're already getting money to ideas to raise fundraising. It's a great thing. And have somebody help already. Like, it's a good thing. It's hard to start off with basically nothing. I was looking here. How do you expect to pay for some of these plans? Like, I see, like, let me see. I like some of the things like entering veteran homelessness, like we hear. Obviously, I'm reading your thing here about reproductive rights. So I'm going to guess you're pro-choice based on what I'm reading there.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
What do you want to do for jobs wise, infrastructure? How you expect to gain jobs if elected in this area when it's already hard enough to do that? And how do you expect to keep taxes low to pay for that?
So the legislation that I have been working out they are trust funded legislation. So in the federal government, there's some accounts that have billions of dollars that's not being used anywhere. It's literally just sitting there. So I'm wanting to use those trust funds through those accounts to fund that, but also by taxing the wealthy, the 1% that are currently avoiding taxes. They need to pay their fair share. So if you own a business that's 99 or plus employees, you're going to be paying your fair share of taxes.
Understood.
Okay.
Ryan, go ahead. I'll let you go back.
That's fine. So what's the fair share? I mean, it's easy to say.
Taxing them appropriately for their business prospects.
Correct. But like the reason being I'm asking that question is there's so many times people come out and say, let's give a livable wage. Let's have a higher minimum wage. But like, well, and then you say, all right, $15. No, we want $20. Well, what's that? What's the number that you're saying is the fair share? Because right now, from my understanding, most of those rich folks are paying well over 50% of, if not more, of what we're spending now. So how much more do we do that? Are we going to tell them that, hey, you got to pay in? Because everything comes back down lower. If we charge a business, hey, a tariff, that tariff it comes back to us. It's that silent tax. What have you got a number in your head where you're like, all right, I want to charge everybody who makes X dollars this amount?
Not at the moment. I am just currently working on that, as I don't have my full legislative out, but I am working on what would be fair for people.
Okay. Well, so what I want to do is I want to try to pump the brakes on your legislation, because I understand you're brand new to this and you're just starting. And as Dean talked about when he ran, and I talked to you yesterday, you're going to have to collect signatures. As I'm talking about fundraising. All right, how are you going to get, all right, small donations, things of that nature. I think that's a great idea. If you can go on and put, if it's a Zazzle store or one of them made to print shops now, so people can go in and buy your yard signs now and not wait for me to have to wait for a lump sum to come in. But what about your team right now? Do you have can you just talk about your team, your plan to get that 15, because you got to get 10,000 signatures, that valid signatures, and plus 5,000, or at least 5,000 for any that were bad. Can you discuss a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what my team and I are planning now is I am doing a meet and greet in Virginia in all 11 districts. I have people that are going to help me go out and collect the signatures in those areas for those districts. I know that 10,000 is the number, but my goal is to be about 12 to 13,000 in case someone decides, they accidentally put the wrong address of what their voter's registration card was in, things like that. So I want to make sure that I have over those 10,000 signatures.
Okay. Now, what about your team? Who do you got right now?
I have a team of about 10 people that are working in various areas.
All right, I didn't know if you could.
I definitely need volunteers.
Right. Treasurer, do you got a good treasurer? Because that's a really big thing.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you got a campaign manager?
No, I do not have a campaign manager as of right now.
And then, what about web design, things of that nature? Because social media is I'm 50, so in turn, I know I've never gotten Facebook to be what you can get out of Facebook. There's some young kids that they can TikTok and Snapchat and things of that nature. Do you have a social media person?
Yes, I do have a social media person that's doing my platforms for Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to be opening up an X account. I have not yet. There's a TikTok, Facebook, and a Threads.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so many because you got Blue Sky. You've got.
Oh, and I have a Blue Sky too.
Okay. And then, you've got Blue Sky, True Social is very much getting into an echo chamber. You're going to be yelling at people that are either left wing or right wing, whatever the case might be.
Right.
So I go back to that. You're running as an independent. I see your platform, and where do you sit social on the spectrum of politics? What do you consider yourself as? You consider yourself a libertarian? You consider yourself just a pure independent? You consider yourself a Democrat, a socialist Democrat? Because there's some stuff that tells me, as someone who can read this well, that you're definitely left leaning. But I can't really tell what, where you stand on certain things.
Well, I'm definitely left leaning on certain things. The reason why is because I want to, if I make it into the U.S. Senate, I want to help with legislation that helps people, not hurt people. So that is my whole thing, is helping others, helping Virginians.
So I don't see any stance on the war. I see it with veterans. What's your stance on war and powers of war?
I don't think that we should currently be in war or creating wars. Honestly, we should be funding education instead of funding wars. That's my personal opinion.
Very libertarian answer there. I did like that. Very libertarian answer. But like, how do you, this universal healthcare, I don't see how that works in any way without the taxpayer paying a lot of money into that. So how do you plan on keeping costs low for that to occur?
So actually, if we would implement universal health care, it would actually save, I think within the first year, $1 billion for the federal government. Because people are literally dying waiting for good health care. Like my brother, for example, he just died last month because he had cancer, and he was 39 years old, the same age as me. And he was too poor to get, insurance for private, and he was too rich to get Medicaid. So he fell in the loophole where millions of people already are, and he ended up passing away before he could even get his cancer treatments.
That's awful. And I apologize for that happening to you and your family. That's definitely a rough thing to go through. And
like millions of Americans, that's what they face every day. And we shouldn't be in that position to where people are dying waiting on good healthcare.
Some of the problems with healthcare is we're overregulated.
Yes.
Number one. So you've got to, and if by just getting rid of a lot of regulation, you would lower the cost.
Yes.
And also, I think you have laws that are currently in place, courtesy of Democrats and Republicans, where, and it does not come to my mind, and I don't want to give it a bad name, but there's a law where you cannot have a competition in going down into Southwest Virginia, deeper down there, because you've got to make sure Carilion or one of the other hospitals is able to make money somehow, So in turn, you limit the competition. And by breaking that, now you've got to start competing. And I think that's something that should be looked into. Even going outside of Western medicine, I can tell you a story where I know a gentleman who had his he had diabetes, but his toe was swelling up, and they were going to cut his toe off. And the VA said, well, we're just going to cut your toe off. Now he goes to a holistic individual who, here's some colloidal silver. He never said that I'm going to cure you, but what he did was, when he gave him the vitamins, colloidal silver, and things of that nature, his toe went down. They did not cut his toe off. But I'm not allowed to talk about who said this because it goes against the FDA and so forth and so on. So I think there should be some individuals who should, some things should be put into that nature,
Okay.
Like I said, regulations, there's so many regulations that we would lower costs right off the bat. And like I said, so let's just go back. And I know I told you, Dean kept pulling you into the deep waters of your policies, but I want to know exactly more about you.
Okay.
Because, all right, I know what your ideas are. You gave your 5-minute speech. I got that. Tell me, you're growing up, were you always into politics?
Actually, sort of. So growing up, my dad would take me to, inaugurations. He would take me to meet candidates that he supported, things of that nature. So he wasn't he didn't ever run, but that was always part of my childhood.
Okay. And what was your family? Were they left leaning? Were they right leaning? Were they
left
leaning?
Did
they talk politics? Okay, so they did. You're coming from a left leaning. Now, how far left would you say? When you say left leaning, that today's world, we've got the Zoran Mondani in New York, who's a Democrat socialist, for what that's worth, and then you've got people who are saying, "Hey, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not over there. I'm a Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy." Where do you see your left leaning?
I think my dad would pretty much say probably a Kennedy.
Okay. Gotcha.
Talking about Korean, sorry about that. I had a phone call from a Korean person. Yeah.
Okay. So, so you grew up there. And so what about your childhood? I mean, what would make you want to go, let's go? Because what you're going to be told? I'll tell you exactly. No matter who wins, no matter who loses, you spoiled the vote.
I'm actually hoping to win so I don't spoil any votes.
Right.
So.
Are you prepped for that mentally? Because you said you're 39.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, because I know I constantly get told, it depends on where I'm standing. If I'm here, I'm supposedly taking votes from the Democrats. If I'm up in this part of the state, I'm supposedly taking votes from the Republicans. What's some of the battles are you seeing right now? You're seeing what? Have you looked at it and went, okay, these are some already, I got to make some adjustments here. I'm going to have to have you seen anything like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So some of the adjustments I think I have seen is, people saying, well, they don't feel represented by either party, Democrat or Republican. And that's actually why I decided to run as an independent, because I don't feel like you should it should be based on policy, what we're going to do to help people, not if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, if you're a Democrat. So I feel that, getting votes a little bit of everywhere is probably going to be the strategic plan to winning this thing. I know 1 in every 5 voters in Virginia are independent. So they, look at the candidate and they're like, this is what they can do for me, or this is what they can do for me. And then I decide my vote right before going to the ballot box.
How do you stop them from pulling a left lever or right lever? Because that's a big problem you're going to have. You have to have a crap load of people, as it is, just to get people to understand, and literature, signs. I mean, what I'm hearing, I listened to the whole, even when I'd step away for a second, I was listening to the whole thing. I mean, it sounds good. You have to, but also tax policy. What is your tax policy?
What we're trying to do, Dean, real quick, and I know before we get it, I don't want to pull her into the shark infested waters yet.
Well,
I know
everybody.
we're trying to do. I want to learn about what her plans is to get to 20,000 signatures. Her plans to baseball slide in to cause a muck somewhere. Because, like I was saying, with her running, both sides are going to say she's ruining the election. This is too important of an election for us to have you in. We need you to vote for Mark Warner, or whoever the Republicans decide. How are you going to reach, since you're a left-leaning individual, how do you think you would be able to reach across to Republican voters to disenfranchise Republican voters? Because I know there's so many, as you've probably talked to, who are, I'm a Republican, but I'm not really a Republican. Oh, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not really a Democrat like that anymore. How are you going to reach across to the Republicans right now? How would you do that?
A lot of the Republicans live in rural communities, from my understanding, based on, the map of Virginia. So making sure that the rural communities are taken care of, along with all the other communities, obviously. But rural communities feel like they have been left behind for so long. So making sure that implement policies that's going to help not only everybody, but, people that are in those communities as well.
Yeah, because you come out to my neck of the woods or 9th district, you're going to be dealing with a lot of right-leaning people.
Yes.
I guess maybe this is a good question on gun. What are your stance on gun rights? I don't see that either.
Oh, I support the Second Amendment. Absolutely.
This is where I like that. Yeah, but you come down here.
I'm a country girl. I grew up on a farm. I know how to hunt. I know how to shoot a gun. So I absolutely support the Second Amendment.
What did you do for what do you do for what have you done for a living?
So I actually am a mental health professional. I am a recovery coach, a life coach, a trauma coach. On top of that, I am a small business owner. I own a thrift store. I did own a handyman service, but that I decided it's too much physical work. So I decided to open up a small thrift store.
Okay.
That's good. I was going to say with the mental health thing, and this may be a great thing. This is a good lead into what you're professionally talking about and what you've done professionally. There is an issue in specifically rural communities of addiction and mental health. And it's not just with the general public, it's with the fire EMS community. It's with soldiers. I mean, I was in the fire EMS community as a volunteer for 23 years. So I know all about the mental health aspects of things because I've dealt with it. I also understand I've dealt with people around addiction. So you have plans on how to help those individuals and what you could do for those individuals?
Yes, I absolutely do have a plan for mental health and addiction services. Well, all mental health services in general, because that is something that is absolutely overlooked. And I feel it should be absolutely one of the top things that we need to support and look for.
Do you support, okay, so regulations, I know Brian talked about deregulation a little bit. And so one of the major sources of addiction issues stem from big corporate pharmaceutical companies who decide to give medications out and then cut them off on people. What would you want to do because you'll be in a federal position to these people, these pharmaceutical companies, if you're elected? Would you have legislation to try to go after these corrupt large pharmaceutical companies?
Absolutely. Big Pharma needs to be held accountable.
What is your so I don't want to pull you too far into if you don't have a policy yet, please, you can say you're still formulating and that's fine and dandy. Drug policy, like, a lot of times with the Libertarian Party, and that I have an issue with. I've been a Libertarian since 2010. But I'll say it, legalize all drugs. I have no issue about saying it. Now, me saying that also means if we do legalize all drugs, that brings a lot of things to it. So, okay. But I'm also I know that if someone picks up if it's marijuana, we're going to go with, But we'll go with marijuana. I know it's not been sprayed with PCP, or if it's cocaine, it don't have fentanyl and things of that nature. I'm hoping you hope for it. But I can also, it's easier for me to sit here and say, all right, it's because look at alcohol. Alcohol kills people, all the time, and it's still out on the shelf. So what is your stance when you come to mental health? Because then there is some benefits. Psilocybin for mushrooms and things for people with PTSD and from the war and so much other thing. What's your stance there? Do you have a stance?
I have not honestly thought about the whole stance on legalizing all drugs. To be honest with you, the only one that I actually want to legalize is cannabis as of right now, because it definitely has a lot of healing properties. It is a lot better than alcohol. Alcohol causes, I think it is 8 or 9 different types of cancer: liver cancer, brain cancer, kidney cancer, things like that. I don't ever see a thing saying, hey, marijuana causes brain cancer.
Right. Well, the thing is, it hasn't been. Understand, I have never done it. I don't sit here and. That's why I'm saying I would advocate for it to be legalized. The problem is, so too often when Democrats have taken the ball and running with it. I get it. They're in power in these different states. Well, what they do, they say we're going to tax it, and we're going to pay for health care, and we're going to pay for schools, and we're going to pay for this. And then they build up the black market. So in turn, I think they do it poorly. So in turn, I want to see it done properly, and not, hey, we're going to legalize them like cigarettes. I used to smoke, but now, they're taxing. Most people that smoke are middle class and below. It's not like it's a rich man thing. So it's almost the bag tax and plastic bag tax in some localities. We pay 5 cents here in Roanoke. That's my big thing. I just want to share that with you. I figured.
Okay.
I don't know where I was going to go. I just wanted to keep on just along for you.
The libertarian part of understanding what Brian was saying, like the legalization thing of all, is so people could get easier. It wouldn't be as much as a crime as it would be a way to get people into treatment easier. It's a double-edged sword. I've never been an addict or anything like that, but I've known a few, and I know how hard it was for them. I've watched people lose their life to it. I've watched friends lose their life to it. I've watched them overcome it. So I've seen both sides of it. And in the fire and EMS world, I've seen a lot that really will take somebody's brain of what you see and try to help this. So, your whole idea on mental health, I love that as, on my side of things, because I kind of connect in that situation with mental health.
A lot of people feel like addiction is a moral failing. It is absolutely not a moral failing. So that stigmatization needs to be out of the way. So trauma is absolutely the gateway to addiction and alcoholism, or substance use disorder, I should say, because that covers both bases. And I feel like more people need to know that, rather than saying, oh, well, they're just a junkie or they're just an alcoholic. They've done this to themselves. What actually happens is when we pick up that drink or that drug, our brain rewires itself to that trauma, and it gives us a release of how we weren't until after the trauma was there.
I mean,
how long have you been doing? Go ahead. Well, how long have you been doing the mental health thing?
So I started doing mental health in 2012.
Okay.
I started working for a company that helped with people that had major mental illnesses, bipolar, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. So I ran a day treatment program, and I taught them day-to-day living skills. And then it just progressed throughout the years, and I couldn't get enough knowledge, or I couldn't get enough of the mental health aspect, because it is so, the brain is awesome. It is absolutely awesome.
Right. I guess this is not even going to be questions, more a suggestion. I suggest you take this mental health and this key part of it to when you're running, because I think that's going to help connect you to specifically people in the rural areas out here in the 9th district, where it's rural, a lot of issues with substance abuse, a lot of issues with all types of things out here. And this area is like Brian is in the city of Roanoke, so he's in an area that's not great either, but I mean, it's more reach to than the rural community. And when you're out in the rural community, we have issues with EMS and fire units. Like, I know I'm trying to push back against for waiting for so long for ambulances. Is there a way in a state level or federal level that you could, I don't know if you know that some states EMS is not an essential service.
Yeah.
So, would you push for making EMS an essential service?
Yes,
a bill
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Where I lived in a rural community when I was growing up, same thing there. It takes 45 minutes to an hour for the nearest fire department or ambulance service to get there. And most of the time people are dead by the time they get there, just because they're so far stretched out.
I was just talking to someone earlier today because volunteerism has truly dropped off big time. And because that's pretty much it. And Dean can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's most of the fire departments are volunteer. Correct?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just nationwide.
Volunteerism is dying because too many hours for certifications, not enough time. People work multiple jobs because there's not money.
Yeah.
That's what causes the volunteerism to drop. It's not that people don't want to volunteer; is that they have to make money to pay.
They have to make money to live.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that, and I won't get into. Please don't get into. Today was the day that President Woodrow Wilson signed in the beginning of central banking with the Federal Reserve, and that since then the U.S. dollar has died greatly. It's dying now. So in turn, you've got to strengthen the dollar. It don't mean you can sit there and give us $100 minimum wage, but if the dollar's dead, then there's no reason to push it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Again, I'm wearing a Bitcoin versus the world t-shirt. And I mean, that's something that you got to get. Central control of things does not work. Most things it gets just bloated. It balloons up and then it dies and it kills everything that's standing with it, So in turn, that's something that you need to look into also is the Federal Reserve and at a minimum, Dr. Ron Paul, I would definitely tell you, look into Ron. If you've never read his books or Rand Paul, Thomas Massey is a terrific, I wish he was my representative, but he's over in Kentucky. I would definitely push for him to look at some of the things that he does. You got to be principled, hold your principles. What's the top 3 platform issues that you got that you're like right now? If you were to go out there, you're going to be trying to get someone to sign your ballot. What's the top 3 things you're going to say?
One of them is going to be universal health care, the Social Security, absolutely, and also to let me see. So Social Security, universal health care, and veterans. Those are my top 3.
Okay, them are 3 heavy subjects that that I don't know. I could get you to start answering them right now, and I want to tell you what would happen, because you could start Q&A-ing me, and I'm going to be saying stuff, and then you're going to be like, hey, he's factually wrong here. Something's not screwy. There's some things it's because it's so massive.
Yes.
Take your time. If you're the top 3, get with people that are very solid. And because I always believe, even though I'm a libertarian, I throw all the ideas on the table, and then what's the best for society. All right. And it's not going to mess with the largest minority in the country, and that's the individual. It don't matter about, if you is it going to mess? I don't want to sit there and take Dean's rights away just so I can feel safe, or your rights away to feel safe.
Right.
How do we do it? But I'm not holding on to any idea. Any idea can be. I'll look at. There's some ideas that are just like, that don't work. So in turn, that's what I'm really stressing for you, and I hope that you and your team can look at. Them are, like I said, because when I came out of the Navy, I jumped in. The reason I left Republicans was because of the foreign policy. I saw how veterans are being handled here. and it's not, but the Democrats aren't helping you either. Oh, everyone's going to come up and say support the troops and put their little yellow ribbon on the car.
Right. And that's what I see a lot. So one of the things that I really want to work on is the mental health aspect for veterans, also better health care, and absolutely zero homeless veterans within 5 years. That is one of the few of the things that I'm working on for the veterans.
Right.
So you want to laugh at something? He came from the Republican Party. I came opposite. I came from the Democratic Party. So I understand where it comes from. I believe the reason I left them was because he came too socialist for me. And the Libertarians just line up a lot better. Like, you can have leanings on both ends. Like, I become more right leaning and he's become more left leaning, just because that's how in the Libertarian Party, at least, is what it seems that it happens. You learn more about the other side and you just become more of an independent and more fused on knowledge. One topic I know that is heavily talked about is LGBTQ. And so what's your stance on that? If you have
I am full force for everybody's rights, on every end of the spectrum. Everybody deserves dignity and respect.
Absolutely.
All right. So what about like basic things? We just had the bill passed in Congress. I don't know which one, for children. Gender reassignment. I you know what? That's very hot, but I've already said it, so we're going to let it. If you have a stance on it, you're more than welcome to go for it. I just don't want to. Tonight was supposed. I wanted really to you to be just introduced to the audience, because I can immediately sink your boat like with some stupid comment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So please,
right.
if you've thought about it, because I don't care about different things. I mean, there's a lot of things that's not on my. All right, here's the big my world that we got to worry about this, and I'm going. Oh, don't some things are just out of here. I'll worry about that later. Do you have a stance on that? Since they passed the bill,
I honestly have not done any research or anything into that, so I really honestly don't have an answer for that.
Okay, that's
kind of good though.
I'm going to I'm cutting the line because like I said, come January, March, when you're collecting signatures, you got to have a stance on different things. And your best stance, if you don't know, write it down and say, I'll give you an idea. Let me come back with it because I don't want to give you some bad information. Some people have this fantasy that you're going to walk into the Senate and it from the beginning of time till now about the subject. It's so, like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot there. So just just have your notebook ready, because what you hear, if it's a red flag law, because if you're in mental health, that turns into the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not big on the red flag laws just because of there's so much where it can be taken away people's rights. I understand the concept of it, but is there a better way here?
So I guess that kind of leads into what's your thought on criminal justice reform?
Well, hold on one second. Did you have anything to say about the red flag laws or anything?
I apologize.
I haven't really looked into the red flag laws, so that is something for me to absolutely look into and research and see, what people were saying about that. So I will definitely look into that.
Right, because with the state of Virginia switching so heavily Democrat, and they're going to have the gun laws are going to become outrageously, and they're not even going to be. It's going to be out of. Not because you're thinking about it, it's because, we got to protect. And I'm going to put the children in there because that's what everybody gets sad about. But in reality, it's like the 10 magazine, like 10 bullets in a magazine, as an example. In reality, that don't work because you need more bullets in there. Just because I pull a gun and we start firing at each other, more times you'll miss than hit your target. But please go ahead. Now, Dean was talking about the criminal justice reform. So we're going to bounce over into that now. So, Dean, please, what was your question?
Do you have stances on criminal justice reform, reforming nonviolent felons, things like that. And
yes, absolutely. I stand firmly with criminal justice reform, and that is another thing that, I want to make sure, I implement, because, when we have more jails and prisons than what we do education, like technical centers and colleges, there's an issue somewhere that needs to be readjusted.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Dean.
What Brian was saying about the red flag laws, yes, definitely. When you start campaigning specifically in heavier red areas, you're going to need to have answers for that, because that is a heavy question that was asked to me when and I ran. So just give me a heads up.
And when I was talking to the lady in District 9, she said, she was talking about how, cancer and the pollution of the waterways and things like that. So I'm actually looking into, the waterways and the pollution and things like that, in all areas, obviously. But, her biggest concern was the children that are getting cancer, and she feels like it is being created from the corporation that is there, the plant that AP owns, or I'm not really for sure exactly the name of it.
You don't want to go into AP, electrical highway robbery, they call it.
And let me just say something. Even when it comes, I know I know I said something about Carillion and their thing. I'm never gonna throw eggs at the corporate. I get it; it's easy target to throw. AEP, definitely check in because if you're running as a candidate and you have ideas, they have individuals there that you can discuss like what your thought process is, so you can have a better. Hey, the evil corporation, they're raising the rates. Well, why are they raising the rates? Because me and you, all of us are sitting here and we don't really know. Maybe there's something.
The data centers is what is absolutely fueling high cost on consumers. Yes. That is what I have found out so far, is literally the data centers.
Okay. Well, when it comes to the data centers, yes, there is a lot of issues, and then they use so much water, and it turns into the localities being told, hey, you've got to provide it for me, or whatever the case might be. Just before, but like I said, please definitely check into that stuff, because I want to see everybody when they run a good campaign. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't call yourself libertarian, if I don't have anyone to vote for, I don't go out and vote. Right. Bottom line, I mean, I don't have his fantasy. Well, it's a lesser, I can't let that person win. That went, way of the dodo bird years ago. So, I definitely just want you to definitely look into AEP, and like I said, they do have individuals that will speak with you, because we had a candidate down here when they were talking about mining for uranium. He was over in Martinsville. He called over there, and the company was able to give him a lot of information about that. So then it gives you even a stronger stance one way or the other, So let's see. We're almost at the end of the year. Right now, how are you going to, what's the step? All right, you're going to go to each just CD, you said, and have like a town hall.
It's not a town hall. What it is a meet and greet. So I want to go into all 11 districts of Virginia, and I want to talk to individuals, get their perspective on the issues that are facing their area, and just listen to what they have to say, and, see what I can do on a federal level to help Virginia's communities.
Where are you located? Are you on Virginia Beach side?
No, I'm actually in the city of Franklin.
Yeah, you're city of what?
Yeah. I'm on the Virginia Beach side. Yeah.
Okay.
City of Franklin, not far from Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
All right. I guess another question would be: do you have a family, kids, spouse, anything to that nature? Reason being, are they excited for you to do this?
I have 3 kids, and they're all a little bit like, okay. One's like, let's do it. Let's rock this out. Another 2 are like, we don't do politics, so let's go, Mom. So
okay. So just be cautious as a past candidate, and I'll talk to you offline on some other things, but be careful. They will use any means. Your opponents will use any means necessary to come at you, and I mean any means necessary.
All right, so you've got that, and let's see, is there anything else? I'm trying to think of some questions, because I really want to just, once again, like I said, you're going to come out, you're going to be a punching bag. It's going to be you've hobbled yourself, and you're going to climb Mount Everest now after you've hobbled yourself. Yeah. That's mentally, what do you do? And I know this is going to sound strange. What would you do to keep yourself level? Because you got the stress of family life. You said you got 3 kids. Now you're going to have politics you're the punching bag on the politics side. What are you going to do to maintain that zen, if you will?
A lot of self-care and meditation.
Okay. That's always, yes. Okay. If your goal's to win, do you have all right, if I don't win, these are other issues that I'm trying to, because sometimes for me, we run Libertarian candidate, our goal's 10%. I want 10% or 15% so we can be a major party here in the state of Virginia, right? Do you have this is my, all right, if I don't win, these are the other things that I'm going to have to hit.
You're wrong.
Hold on a second. You froze up again.
Let's reevaluate where I'm at.
You're still froze up. Do you want to? And I do have a question here from someone. Okay. What did you say?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. You're good to go now.
Okay.
Okay. What did you have? These are if I don't win, hey, as long as I hit this gold and this gold, it's been a success. Or do you want to just keep that to yourself until after the election?
I honestly, if I don't win, I'm just going to pick up where I started from and continue on and do it till I win it.
Sounds good. All right, here we got a question from an outside guy. He said, what about nuclear power? I guess where we were talking about AEP, have you looked into nuclear power, some of the smaller stuff? Let me keep that up there for a second. She may be froze up again. All right. So far, let's see. I think she's I hope she's rebooting. We'll pull her down. Let's see. And once she comes back on, we'll yank her back up. But this has been Brandi Hall. You can see more from her. Please go to her website right there. You can find out more about Brandi Hall for ussenate.com. That's where you can see more stuff about her. Once she comes back online, here she is. Welcome back, my friend.
I'm so sorry.
All right, so you did get a question. Rat Zap T-shirt. What about nuclear power?
I have not looked into the nuclear power issue yet, but that is definitely one of the things that I want to look into.
Okay. And I know you gave me a date last night about potential dates when you're going to be here. Is that still confirmed, or is that confirmed with the date you gave me, or are you still looking at
Yeah,
date
that
to
is
come to
confirmed
Roanoke.
for the date that I'm going to be in Roanoke is the 21st of January.
21st of January.
That's great.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I'm going to
Definitely look forward to
be
meeting.
in District 9 on January 7th and 22nd. So I absolutely have a flyer that I can send to you for the 22nd, by the way.
Do you
And I'm
have
gonna
the
be there.
locations planned where you're going to in the 6th?
Yeah, the
all of
7th.
these spots are big, you know.
Yeah. On the 7th, I'm going to be. Where is that? Let me look real quick where I'm going to be on the 7th. And I'll let you know.
Cora, Virginia.
Cora, Virginia. Does that sound correct?
Virginia.
Right here.
Hey, you got anywhere that's at? I'm gonna look it up.
Carbo, Virginia,
No,
Russell
no.
County.
I'm going to be in Russell County and on the 7th.
Oh, she's way down, way down. Not
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to be is there.
All right, so you'll be in Russell County on the 7th. And then when you come to Roanoke on the 6th, do you have a place already planned? Or the 6th, you said you were going to be here on the 21st.
No, the 21st. The 21st, I'm going to be there.
Do you know what place location yet, or you'll let us know?
No, I'll let you know because I don't have a place yet for the 21st.
Okay.
And for the 22nd, I'm going to be at Weber City at the firehouse.
Weber City at the firehouse. Okay. Yeah, once you get that stuff, I mean, I'll share it with people and let them know. So in case they're interested in hearing more about you, because like I said, more people stay home than actually come out and vote.
Right.
And that's what you got to attract. You got to attract NOTA, plus all the disenfranchised Democrats and Republicans that are out there. You know, so please look into that. And like I said, take your top 3 issues. That's just and
Roanoke wise, you always have.
You know, but I would just take your top 3 issues and definitely look into them. You know, so do you have any closing things that you would like to say to people?
I would absolutely like to thank everybody that come here tonight to listen to me. Hopefully, you know, I have addressed some of the things that people are, wondering about me. I just appreciate everything.
Okay, so once again, once we get the dates, we'll put them out so you can show as Brandi Hall tours Virginia, letting everyone know about her plans for the future, and you can sign the ballot by then. You should have your ballots ready to go. I hope because 15,000 signatures or whatever you're shooting for. It's going to take a long time, and I wish you the best of luck. I'm glad you came on here tonight.
Thank you.
And once we go offline, I'll tell you. We could talk more in a minute. But thank you again for joining us, and everyone that joined us and stayed online. Thank you so much, and we will see you probably next week. If not, we'll see you the following week. Till next time, I'm Brian. That's Dean. And that's Brandi Hall running for U.S. Senate as an independent. We'll see you later. Good night.